Hi, my name is Father Sammie and I really like food, and I'm glad to share some of my recipes with you. Now, if you enjoy these videos, remember to like and share and subscribe to St. SJE Plus for our latest content. Today we have a feast. We're welcoming our new associate pastor, Father Declan McNicholas, and so we're going to prepare ribs today and brisket and a whole bunch of stuff, but it's too much to show you in one episode. So today we're going to focus on pretzel bread. Now, the thing with bread, whenever you're baking bread, you have to understand that the measurements of a recipe aren't as important as your smell and your sight and your touch. So bread, I made 3 portions this morning, same exact recipe. One of them didn't rise, the other 2 did. So you have to watch very carefully when you're making bread, and don't be so slavish to, okay, 3.5 cups of this or whatever the measurements might be. So let's start with our measurements here, and you're going to see I'm going to measure very carefully. I'm going to put 4 cups of bread flour into this mixing bowl. I'm going to add about 1.5 tablespoons. I'm just going to eyeball it. I've done this enough. 1.5 tablespoons, and this is instant yeast. And you don't have to proof this. This is what bakers use. I've used fresh yeast when I can find it, but it's very iffy. In fact, this batch that I did this morning was fresh yeast. It did not rise. So this is pretty much guaranteed to work. Into the bowl again, I'm putting 1 stick of butter and 1/2 cup of granulated sugar. So I'm going to put this on here, and I'm just going to turn it on, and it's going to just mix those ingredients together. And here's the thing, you want to push your dough so that it takes as much hydration as possible. So I could say, all right, put 1.5 cups of water in here, but it depends on the day, depends on the humidity, depends on so many different things. So just play with it. You want it to push the dough so that it takes as much water as possible. So I'm going to put about 1.5 cups in here, turn it back on. And I'll probably have to put more. I can tell right now it's not. See, it's the eyesight is what you do. You check on this. And bread, you think about bread as such a stable thing. Like, we're going to get together, my staff, to celebrate the coming of Father Declan. And it's like family, isn't it? And bread is so much a part of our life. And Jesus took bread and turned it into his body. We celebrate that every time we have Mass. And so bread becomes a core, central thing that we human beings gather around. So it's really wonderful to be able to make bread, and to instead of buying like that Wonder Bread that's mushy, tasteless stuff. This is something that's really going to be special. What you want to happen is to have a ball form. And now a lot of people, when they bake bread, they think they have to measure the temperature of the water. I just have found that not necessary. The friction of the bowl is going to heat everything up sufficiently. You don't need to put like 95-degree water to do this. I just don't play with that anymore. I used to, but I found out that it's not necessary. So I'm going to put a little bit more water in here. It's coming together. Or is the camera picking this up? That's the other thing. You want to be very careful that your bread doesn't snake up to the top. Like a piece goes around the thing and comes up to the top. When that happens, that means it's not hydrated enough, and you're going to have an uneven loaf of bread. So you always want to keep it down in the bottom, and the way you do that is keep adding little bits of water at a time. I'm going to stop it. And we have to wait about 25 minutes for what they call autolyse. And French scientists figured this out. When the advent of automatic machines came in, the kneading process that took so long to make bread was cut in half, And as a result, the bread didn't have the kind of structure that it used to have. So the way they figured out how to restore that back to with using this, because I don't want to spend 40 minutes kneading bread, is you let it sit for about 20-25 minutes. You can let it sit up to an hour, really. And what happens is that gluten begins to form without you doing anything, and you're going to have also the flour is sucking in more moisture, so it's hydrating better. It's getting like imagine a sponge. It starts to suck up whatever water is there, and that's going to make for a better dough. So it's been about 20 minutes, and you can see here that the dough has hydrated, and it's not really risen, but there's definitely development going on here. We're going to put this on here for 8 more minutes. I'm going to turn it on high and beat it. We're going to keep checking back in so you can see the development of the dough. Now, I don't add salt immediately to the mix because salt can inhibit yeast. And so I wait for this gluten to start forming. I go about halfway through this process, and then I just take, and this is baker's salt, I just take a tablespoon for this dough. Oh, you see the snake? See what's happening here? Catch that. That's what I mean when I say snake. We don't want that. See, I put water, it goes right back down. Just have to really watch that so it doesn't happen. So you can see how much more supple this dough has become in that short time. I'm going to take it out. Now, I have gloves on, but when you're dealing with dough, sometimes the easiest thing to do is just wet your hands a little bit. We want to get it off the hook before we pull it out of here. Not always easy. There we go. Yeah, I don't know. So, this is a lifesaver when you have dough that's sticking to the side, and that's what you want. We wanted this dough hydrated to the max. So here it comes. This thing takes it right out. Then I'm going to take it and then just do a little knead. I'm going to pull it, stretch it, pull it under, pull it under, and then take my thumb, my hand, move it in a circle around like this. Now, over here, we have a simple little bowl. I'm just going to lightly spray the bottom of this. Put it in, push it down, flip it over, and we're going to put saran wrap on this. Okay? So here's dough that's already risen. It's actually had 2 rises, and I'm going to take some of this. And because we're making sandwiches out of these rolls today, I'm going to make them a little bit larger. I normally don't make them this big. So we're going to weigh, we're going to 4 ounces. And we're close. So we want to get this as close as possible so that each of the rolls are uniform. So scale is essential. Then I'm going to flatten this thing down. I'm going to pull, tuck, pull, tuck, pull, tuck. I'm just going to keep doing this over and over until I have got something like this. And then I'm going to take my thumb and my hand and squeeze and keep turning it around. What we want is all these creases gone, because when it rises again, because it will rise before we give it a bath, then it's going to fall apart, and we want the roll to stay together. So you got to really be careful and not tell you, no matter how many times I try and I think I got it, there's always a few that sneak in and fall apart. They still taste good. Okay, just so here you go. That's one. I'll do one more. Okay, this is on a greased pan. Now, I'm not going to finish this. We're going to go to the next process because we've had these already made waiting for you. And we're going to put them in a bath, and that's what makes them pretzels. We have some water that's heated up here, and I'm going to take some baking soda. And usually when I do this, it fizzes up real fast. That's not too bad. So I'm probably going to put 2 full things. There it goes, a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to stir this up. Now, I'm going to take the rolls that have been formed and have risen, and all I'm going to do is dip them in this water. Don't have to have any special time. I used to do this when it was boiling, and that was really difficult. So now I saw them making them in a store, and they didn't have it in really boiling water, so it works just as well. And so what we're going to do here is we cut it. Put some salt on it, and it's going to be ready to bake. I'm going to fill the tray up. Okay, I'm going to take this and put it in the oven. I'll put the salt on it, I forgot. You don't have to put salt on if you don't want. It's 350, and you're just going to watch it. You're going to get them really dark because these are big. They're going to take a while to cook on the center. Okay, I'm cutting into a really hot pretzel roll. I'm going to slather a little room temperature butter. Oh boy, and I'm going to eat it. That's good. So, these are delicious. There's just no way around it. You can do this in your kitchen, and you're going to have the same exact results. I'm so happy that you joined us today, and stick around for some shots of our gathering today with staff, celebrating the coming of Father Declan. And remember, you've been in the kitchen with Padre.
What's your take?
Delicious. Best meal I've had today.
Oh, wow.
No, best meal in a long time for sure.